Welcome to the 2018 Mixed Curling Canadian Championship from Swan River, Manitoba. My name is Matt Cullen, and with me from Curling Canada and a former Olympic bronze medalist is Neil Houston. Thank you very much for joining us today. And we've got an exciting first draw here for our first stream. Featured matchup in this draw, Northern Ontario and Team Prince Edward Island. So let's talk about these two teams here, Neil. Northern Ontario played last night, a big 12-1 win over Team BC, a tired Team BC, we should add. We'll get into that in just a minute, but a great start. How do they continue that approach in this game?
Well, if they keep playing the way they did last night, they're going to have a lot of success this week. They did have a bit of a break with BC's travel schedule. It was really tough on them, and they got in here late for their practice. They were mentally and physically exhausted, so they weren't able to put up the fight that they can play like. So it was a little bit easier for Northern Ontario than it should have been, but they did play very well at the same time. And now with PEI coming out, it's their first game of the competition, so they're going to be a little nervous, but they were very relaxed prior to their practice session and having lots of fun, so they're looking forward to playing there, and both teams will still want to get their win and continue to keep moving forward in this championship.
All right, well, let's meet the teams. We'll start with Northern Ontario. They're in the dark green on the right side of your screen. Skip Charlie Robert. Third, Alyssa Bégin. Second, Dan Mick. And first, Tracy Auld. Looking now, at Team PEI. Skipped by Dennis Watts out of Charlottetown. Third is Jackie Reed. Second is Eric Broderson, and first is Allison Griffin. Northern Ontario out of a great curling community in Sault Ste. Marie. And of course, they've got a lot of eyes watching from Northern Ontario.
Well, there's a lot of history in curling in Northern Ontario, and being from Sault Ste. Marie and the home of the reigning Olympic gold medal men's champion in the Brad Jacobs team, there's a lot of history, and they want to continue with that in that great neck of the woods.
Well, certainly Charlie Roberts, he is a veteran of this tournament, played in the 2014 Mixed Canadian Championships in Ottawa. And he also played that with Alyssa Bégin as third, but they had a different front end. So having some previous experience, how will that benefit Team Northern Ontario?
Oh, it's a huge benefit. They'll be able to calm down the front end. Though I expect great things out of Dan because he is from Calgary originally. So Calgary also has a great history of curling. So
certainly,
they're going to be a force to be reckoned with this week.
Yeah, and this is a team that's very interesting in the way that they're made up. Tracy Auld, the lead, and Alyssa Bégin, they're both from Thunder Bay. So really, that's only Charlie that is from Sault Ste. Marie. So they're a team that worked all together. PEI has also got an interesting story. Dennis Watts, he's a guy that likes to have some fun. He's a two-time Canadian mixed champion. Their coach, or I guess a former mixed champion, and Robert Campbell. He declined to coach this year, so we know that Coach Robert is watching back from PEI.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of people in PEI watching this game and cheering on. They're a good team. They were having lots of fun before the game, and I expect good things out of them as well.
And they don't want to change their strategy too much because of this national stage. That's what they mentioned as well.
No, you get comfortable with your own strategy, with what your teammates can do, and you don't want to get out of sorts. That's what the opposition wants to do, is get you out of sorts and out of your game plan to make you uncomfortable and give them a bit of an edge. So you want to maintain that for your own team.
Team PEI has won the mixed 3 times since it started in 1964. You have to go back to 1987, 1989, and then 2011. The last 2 were run by Robert Campbell, who just happens to be the wife of the third, Jackie Reed. So some experience for her. Jackie was on the 2011 team that won in Morris, Manitoba. That was the last time that the mix was hosted in Manitoba. So there are a couple of nice storylines here that are all going to tie themselves together.
Very much so, yeah. Yeah, they should. They'll still blend well together. They got a little bit of a challenge with Allison having moved to Nunavut.
That's right.
And just meeting up with them here yesterday to get everything going again. So she hasn't been able to practice as much as she probably would have liked.
Certainly. We know in Nunavut they had a small problem with one of the parts in their curling center. They couldn't get the ice made. It's being made right now. So Allison stepped onto the ice for the first time just for practice yesterday.
Correct.
So Northern Ontario will take the Yellowstones for this draw number 2. Team PEI will be in red. Once again, thanks so much for joining us. The 2018 Mixed Curling Canadian Championship. My name is Matt Cullen, and Neil Houston along with us in the first draw in, and we're underway. First stone.
I think the people watching will find that this ice is fairly keen. It's running around 14 plus seconds to the tee line, 16 or more seconds for guards, depending on how long you want them. And eventually it'll get to about 3 feet of curl.
And of course, that's something that everyone wants to know is how are the ice conditions? And the ice maker for this tournament is Kent Mine, works very hard in keeping them in good condition. But what should we notice here about this sheet E that we're currently watching?
You're going to find that, that it'll keen up and it'll start curling a little bit more as the game progresses. You'll also find out that it's a little bit release sensitive. So if somebody throws the rock a little bit inside out, that rock will track for a little while before it actually catches the curl and gets back to the position it should. So they're going to have to be careful with their releases.
Second stone from Allison Griffin. She is the newest member of the team, and as you mentioned, moved to Iqaluit for a job.
I think you'll see both teams being relatively conservative for the first end, just so that they can once again get comfortable with the playing conditions, get the nerves out of play so that they can get on with the second end and see some aggressive curling at that point.
Lead of Team Northern Ontario, Tracy Ault. First national final for her. And despite the team being based out of Sault Ste. Marie, she still lives in Thunder Bay, which is, if you don't know Northern Ontario, that's quite the drive. Another interesting point for this team, Northern Ontario here, Neil, is that the skip last year, Trevor Bono, actually won the mixed nationals in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, went on to the World Championships and finished with a silver medal. Very strong performance, and that rink knows this rink well that's skipped by Charlie Roberts. So there's an inspirational story there as well. They want to try and follow in the footsteps of last year, and off to a good start.
Yeah, very much so. You want to follow along, and Canada winning its first silver medal at the World Mixed Championships is a good achievement, and get one more step to win gold. So somebody from here will do very well and represent Canada very well next year.
That was in Chambéry, Switzerland, and that silver medal was actually Canada's first ever medal at the mixed.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
It is, considering all the international success Canada has had.
Yeah, we've got so many curlers, but that just goes to show you that the strength of the rest of the world is catching up to Canada now and again. It keeps us honest, keeps us working hard.
Already 6 rocks in here, Neil. Nothing in the house. Surprised a bit?
No, not with PEI's first time playing. They want to keep it conservative, keep it close, get comfortable. Like I said earlier, get the nerves out of the way. So once they get more comfortable, you'll see more rocks in play.
We had a good chat with Team PEI prior to this, and they especially said that they like to joke around a lot. They're here to have some fun, meet some new friends, and that kind of shows, and especially with their former skip, Robert Campbell, declined to coach the team this year, and they said, well, it's your loss.
It is, yeah, it's too bad. Robert's been a great player, both at the mixed and the Brier levels, and anytime you can have a coach present, I think it can help in certain situations. But they'll still be a strong factor, and there's always FaceTime and phone calls.
That's right. I was going to say maybe they'll have them on speed dial for their timeout.
Yeah.
First look at Team PEI's third, Jackie Reed, wife of Robert Campbell, who we were just talking about.
We're there, boss.
Been to the mixed nationals twice. Morris, Manitoba in 2011, and then in Montreal, the Mount Royal Curling Club in 2013. So she's got some experience, probably the most veteran member of this team.
Yes, yep, she's played lots. This is a little bit of a surprising change in strategy with attempting to go around a corner guard when the opposition has last rock advantage. So this may change that conservative feeling that I thought both teams would play.
Alyssa Bégin. Charlie Robert, the skip, calls her the powerhouse on the team. Oh, just touches that guard. And how will that affect this draw here?
Well, Prince Edward Island is now going to split the house, so what they're going to try and do is force Northern Ontario to look at 2 on their last rock and force them to 1, which when you don't have last rock is always a good strategy.
Oh, a little more. That's more. Stay with it.
I think we're a little deeper. We're like back 12.
Carolyn.
It might just be a little too hard. Right through.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Prince Edward Island. But on the other
hand, has
hand,
to be just getting used to this ice surface as well, I would imagine.
Little different spots. I mean, each team gets a 9-minute practice, but you can't, in that allotted time period, cover the entire sheet. So there are going to be areas of the sheet that will be a little quicker than others. And there were a couple stones in practice thrown down there. She just might have got caught without knowing that.
Okay.
So that red rock is gone, but Bégin can't keep the yellow in either.
So we're back to where we started before
Back
the
to
third
where we started.
And
just that one corner guard up,
which still may
well out of the way, it seems.
It is at the moment, but there is a chance if PI throws this one in and Northern Ontario were to roll out, then I would expect PI to try and get around that guard so that they could still put the force on Northern Ontario to take one.
Straight out there.
Yeah, no, I think you're good, yeah.
First look of the day of Dennis Watts, skip of Team PEI.
Got him built called T, guys.
T-line. Yep. Okay.
It looks like the sweepers will have a great effect on this ice surface, being able to drag the rocks quite a ways.
Eric Broderson sweeping hard there. So Northern Ontario with the hammer. What do you expect here?
I think they'll be trying to hit and stay right on the nose, because half of the rock will be out of the rings. So that'll force PI to roll into the rings to keep the blank alive, or the force alive. If they nose this one and they're out of their rings by half a rock, then it's going to mean that Northern Ontario is just going to have a nose hit for their last one. They won't have to do anything special to gain the blank and retain last rock advantage in the second end.
Northern Ontario also had the hammer in the first end yesterday against Team BC. Just put up 1, but able to break the game open in the third end with 4.
Yeah, it was a steal of 4, which is, there were a lot of rocks in play. Northern Ontario made a lot of good shots, and BC only had the one lonely stone in there.
Stick.
3 steals yesterday for Northern Ontario as well.
Same thing?
You want that, or do you want to go?
Well, I don't want to give him the same shot.
Still hot.
They're not really going to try and go and use that guard too much. They're just going to throw it over in that area and make him throw a different turn for the blank.
Already.
Final stone for Team PEI.
Doesn't do anything there though. Pretty straight. Didn't even really finish it all.
Might be a stick less, guys. Yeah. And we gotta go. It's a bit less.
Call you, T-line.
look there now, guys. Take a look. Slide a little better.
Have a look.
Slide a little better.
See.
Sweep, guys. We're there.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Nice shot, Dennis. Shot.
Edge of the rock. Looks pretty good with normal.
Shot, Benny.
Side. That's not in play.
So Charlie will try and throw normal weight and roll out on this
This
one.
is pretty straight here.
Get the blank and move on to the second end with
I
last
was
rock.
going to say that would probably be
Her,
this
control
stage,
weight, it was a little firm, but it didn't
the
come
most
up.
logical option.
Right. I mean, if he noses it and takes one, he's not going to be overly concerned. But the blank is the goal.
Final stone here of this first end.
Yep. 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 Hard.
Hard, you got it, hard.
Whoa. All right, Charlie. That's fine.
So not the blank, but one.
Good all.
Northern Ontario grabs the lead. Their final stone, 1-0 after one. Relatively conservative approach.
It was. They started to mix it up there a little bit at the third stones, but with a couple of half misses, that put the blank back on the board.
2018 Canadian Mixed Championships on CBC continue. 1-0 Northern Ontario. Okay.
Good start.
Yeah. Anything you want me to stitch you up on?
No, I think we'll keep doing that.
Yeah?
And we'll keep plugging away.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. If there's anything you want me to stitch you up on, just
Okay.
go ahead or
Okay.
whatever
Sounds
you
good.
like. Yeah.
It'll get more exciting. As
I want to
time
work to
proceeds.
your expertise.
It'll get more exciting as the game progresses.
Yeah.
With 8 ends, there's a
Silence. It's just silence. Nothing.
Beautiful day in Swan River. Beautiful day in Swan River. How are you enjoying your stay, Mr. Gordon?
Okay.
Just tight. Okay.
That should be on its own.
Three, eh? Yeah. 3, 4. Something like yesterday.
Welcome back to Swan River. Focusing on sheet E today, but we've got a full
Nice and
house
tight,
in
guys,
terms
nice and
of
tight.
spectators, in terms of games. 4 other games going on at the moment.
That's good.
Just tight on you, eh?
Keep you updated on the scores as we
Yeah. But I thought
move
it was gonna
along
run
throughout the
there,
day
but it
here.
actually
This is
come
draw
up a
number
bit.
2.
Yeah. I had a little wobble.
If you're just joining us, Team Northern Ontario, the dark green, Team Prince Edward Island in the white.
Skips peel.
As anticipated, Northern Ontario threw up the tight guard.
Wait only.
So now we're going to see some action
Just the way
with some
Alyssa's
rocks in
kinda
play
tried
coming up.
there, I was a little nervous.
We're just top 12, top
12,
out.
top 8. Oh, no.
His first rifle should have gone. We were, but then we power swept it.
I like back line to hack. You throw a hack.
Said, it's just top 12, top 8. And then we swept it there.
Tracy Auld again for Team Northern Ontario. You can hear Charlie, the skip, talking about some strategy here. What exactly?
Well, he wants Tracy to go hack weight and be able to remove that rock off the button. Some teams might freeze to it, is the other option, because you can't remove that guard, so you got to be clear of that. But she made a good shot, rolled out, so you'll probably see Prince Edward Island try and come around that one again and continue to make Northern Ontario throw these field shots.
Nice shot there from Tracy Auld. take another look.
Yeah, it's a very good shot. They tried to make it curl, whether she was a little wide or maybe there's a little bit too much room given to her. But they cleared the guard by quite a bit. But once again, with the free guard zone, you can't afford to hit the guard and leave it as a corner guard and let the other team start to get an advantage of putting 3 points up on the board potentially. So they did it in a safe way. And now there's enough room between the shot rock and the guard where
like
you'll
the same
probably
weight,
see
hack, yeah.
Northern Ontario throw hack weight and try and roll behind the guard.
She through control
Well, yeah.
or board? So you just want
Dan
this?
Mick, the second
Yeah.
for Team Northern Ontario. Mentioned from Calgary, a great curling community. This is his first national final.
Back, forward. Forward.
Close. Yep. Yep. Hard. Where's that going?
He's going to clip the guard, it looks like.
Yep. Never like to hear that.
Wait.
So that
I don't know what
caught
happened
some
there.
curl or something else.
Shouldn't have curled.
The good news for them, it's early in the end, and
Yeah.
while Prince Edward Island will be splitting the rings, there may be some opportunities to get some hit and rolls and try and get out of it.
Neil, I think that's something you never want to hear on the curling sheet is, where's that going?
Very much so. Because it becomes a thing of confidence, right? You don't know if you did something, if the rock caught something, or if there's a curl in that particular spot that Tracy's rock obviously did not catch.
All right, guys. Love corner guards.
Well, he was trying to get in the rings, but throwing up a corner guard is the right way to miss, because that can become useful for Prince Edward Island as the end progresses.
If there's such thing as a good miss, I suppose that would be it.
That's one of them. Yeah, there's always, you want to get something out of every stone that you throw. So you don't have to make 100% of them, but if you miss the right way.
Real hard. Really hard.
So, and this one's curling again too.
Really hard.
Are you
There's a spot there that's
I don't know if it's better because Charlie, might have not.
Is that yellow
lazy.
Okay.
Yes.
because both of those shouldn't have curled like that.
So they're still trying to figure it out here,
Yeah.
whether it's
just on those
something in
soft
the
ones.
ice or maybe he was a little bit lighter and just enough light that it took a different direction on him.
Watch it for that red. Nice way, Dan. I think it's your lazy.
Now, how far will this go? Charlie Robert trying to sweep it out of the house, and he does.
Yeah, that's a bit of a surprising call. With Broderson had just thrown the corner guard, so you would think that he had a good idea of the ice and the draw weight for coming around it and putting some pressure on. I mean, you can do it with the hit and roll, but that's going to be the first time anybody's thrown a takeout out there this game. And obviously Northern Ontario is not scared of putting rocks in play because they're going to go around
Make it a
with
four.
a corner guard without last rock on your third
Just
first one.
chewing's
So-
good.
Whoa, it's
So they
gotta
want to
work a
play the
bit.
game.
Oh, it's got to work, guys. Got to work.
Yeah, Dennis the skip
Tracy,
said he
if
likes
anything.
rocks in play. They're
No,
ready
it
to
looks like
play.
it's gonna slide here.
He's following through on that.
Yeah, he
Now
is.
it's going like sideways.
Good throw.
Well, it's in there good enough now that they're going to force Jackie to go around and try and get their 2 points this way, at least.
Not there.
Griffin and Broderson sweeping hard. Just outside the top 12.
Good split the house.
Yeah, or what happens if we like
Well, if we-
halfway? Don't want to set that double.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Just if we go here, Even if you even them up's not bad, I guess.
No.
It's top 12.
So what are the risks here with with this sort of shot?
Well, this is one of those times where there's some decisions to be made. If you split the house and it's not exactly where you want it, you would give PI the third chance to get around that guard and get the deuce back on the board. As well, if it was top of the 8-foot trying to split the house, it would leave a hit and roll. So this way, if you can get in a good position, you still control that center part of the ice area.
It's on its own, on its own. Stay there. Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Good wait.
So it's not a bad shot. It's a little deep because it's just biting the back of the tee line. So it gives PI the chance to freeze to it and put the guard in the vision as well. So it's going to get tricky here for both teams. We'll see if a deuce is put up by PI or they force PI to take one. So it's going to be an interesting final 5 shots here.
Curling.
Second stone from Jackie Reed.
Hard, guys. Hard, hard, hard. Hard, guys. Go, 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 go.
Gotta go, Ace.
Just do it.
Do it. We're to it. Okay, well done.
Being light's not an option here.
Little bump.
They're going to sweep it and air a little bit. They can afford to tap the rock back a little bit. So that's a fine shot and a safe one at this particular stage of the end.
So with 2 rocks to go for Team PEI with the hammer, what are they looking at?
Well, Charlie's going to throw hack weight at this redstone. He's going to try and hit and roll into the center line area, maybe bite the back of the button type of area. He wants to get some distance between shot rock and the guard to make his last rock easier and make PI Skip's first rock, the hit and roll, a little bit more difficult.
Yours just went because you got it going.
See how Robert plays this. Nips it, but rolls past.
He overthrew that one. That was more than hack weight. And therefore it just ran a lot straighter than he was hoping it would.
Now, is that still Northern Ontario getting used to the ice?
So she got a little more movement than that out of it.
Or was that just misjudged?
He may have anticipated that it was going to curl a little bit more like Dan's did. And maybe that's still playing in their minds a little bit.
Right.
So a little bit
Dan
of
did
doubt.
have some trouble with his curl the second.
Right, so they were thinking that he may have started his stones a little bit.
So 2 rocks now for Dennis Watts.
So it looks like they're going to split the house and just play for their deuce.
Like it doesn't take much.
They split the house. Northern Ontario probably play that one because the shot rock is in the vicinity of the tight guard. You know, and you certainly don't want to wreck on that. So they'll probably just play the trade takeout game and give up the deuce if that's what happens. The other option for PI is to try and get on top of their own shot rock and start playing for 3.
Okay.
But given that they've had a curl, a not curl, maybe this is the better shot at this time.
Still early on here.
Didn't feel like a ton.
Second end of draw number 2.
Yeah, I think you gotta go, guys. I think you gotta go. Gotta go. All you guys now.
They
All
want to
you
get
guys
this
now.
one
Just bite
very
the tee.
close to the tee line so they're parallel
Bite the
and
tee. Have a
there's no
look.
doubles available
Have a look.
for Northern Ontario to play.
Good way call, guys.
Thank you.
So that's a good
Oh, wow.
shot. There's no doubles there, and I anticipate Northern Ontario will hit that stone just because it's wide open.
And that will set up.
This should set up PI for an open
that
stay
deuce.
for 2.
Yeah. Now, just 4 teams played last night in the first draw. What's it like for a team to sit out on opening night? Is that an advantage or a disadvantage?
I think it can be looked at both ways.
Okay.
You can watch the opening draw and get an idea what the ice is doing, see some of the strategies that your oppositions are going to throw at you, so you can gain a bit of an understanding. On the other hand, you want to get out there and play, because they are
Throw the
athletes
same
and
weight
they're here
on
to
this,
play.
I
So
guess.
playing the first draw and getting through that with a win is always advantageous.
Half a rock.
Now, when you
maybe
played,
we
Neil,
can
what did
spin
you
to the
prefer?
back of the four over there.
Did you like starting off right away?
I think so. I think there's the hype. You have a lot of hurry up and wait with,
Okay.
with dinners and different shows that
Social
are-
events.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been quite a while since these teams have won their provincial and territorial championships, and they want to get out on the ice and play. So I think getting out there is the best thing. Now everybody's going to have a game under their belt and they'll be comfortable and they can continue on.
Final stone for Charlie Robert.
So
Clean
safe shot.
remove on the red. Yeah.
Yeah, so I imagine that you'll see PI throw the out-turn draw just because he just threw it. So he's got a good feel for draw weight and T line. So, and that's what he's chosen to do.
I thought they threw it pretty decent there. A little bit.
Final rock of the second end.
More, guys.
All you, line
All you
foot,
guys. All you guys.
piece of the four.
All you guys.
Hard, guys, you got a piece of the four.
All you guys.
Come on. Hard, 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 hard. You gotta go, go.
All you guys.
Good sweeping by the front end.
Sweep.
Shot, Danny.
Judged it well. Well earned deuce.
Seems like they've got that draw weight down.
Yep,
A
they've-
deuce.
They've settled in quite nicely after two ends and have taken a 2-1 lead, which is exactly what you want to do.
Well played from Team PEI. They have their first lead so far at the 2018 Canadian Mixed Championships. Beautiful Swan River, Manitoba. Draw 3.
Swell start.
I grow up, I want to be a superhero. I want to be a firefighter. I want to graduate university. I don't know what I want to be. I want to be an archaeologist. I want to be a scientist. Pilot. Coach. Carpenter. I'm going to be a curling champion.
Kids dream big. Your support will help them realize their dreams on and off the ice.
Gonna do a preventative thing.
Take that off.
Safety first. Yep.
Is it too big for your shoe?
Welcome back to Swan River. Into the third end now, Team PEI with a 2-1 lead. Northern Ontario yesterday, Neil, never faced a deficit, so a first time with a little bit of adversity, pardon me, but still very early on here in this second draw.
It is, and they were smart enough to realize that yesterday's game was a bit of an anomaly and that there's going to be plenty of competition ahead for them.
Top 4.
It will be interesting to see how Northern Ontario reacts if they decide to be aggressive and throw up the corner guard now that PI's hit the top of the forefoot, or if they'll play conservative.
Good shot. Doug, you'd be happy.
One of the things we haven't talked about yet is the great support for curling in Swan River. This is their first time hosting a national championship, a curling national championship, and they have come out with a lot of numbers.
Last night was very special. It was a great opening ceremony, and the club was packed to the rafters. So the support for curling here, which has always been a strong community. There's been many great curlers that have played out in the Bonspiel circuit and gone to national championships from here. So, and it's just nice to see a great town like this be able to host an event such as this.
And the message was clear to Curling Canada was we want it to come back. We want more.
Well, I can't blame them.
That's
Here
right.
we are at day 2, and it's been tremendously supported so far, and it's only going to continue to grow as the competition proceeds.
one? I thought it was good.
So Charlie's going to start getting some rocks in play here and kind of get it, step a toe in. He's not going for the corner guard, but he's going to try and bring that red rock into play and make life a little bit more difficult for PEI.
Well, the third end yesterday is when they really broke the game open with a 4.
It's got a lot of curling to do, guys.
It was a good end for them.
3 years, not bad, eh? We're good, easy.
BC had shot rock in that end for quite a while, but there were a lot of Northern Ontario rocks hanging around, and that ended up being costly.
2-8. Like normal?
With Northern Ontario being such a strong curling community as well, they're the #2 seed in this, by the way. How are you surprised, or how are you surprised with Team PEI's approach against such a strong team early on?
Well, they've really seemed comfortable. You know, they played the first end the way they wanted to. They got the force out of it. And then coming back with a deuce was very vital to them to have shot rock gathered. You know, if they only get 1 point in the second end after having so many chances to put the pressure on, it can be a little bit disheartening. But they got the deuce. They're starting to motor on here. They've made all their shots so far. And so there's going to be an exchange of stones here for quite a while until somebody makes a good roll, or there's a rollout or a double made. So it's fairly straightforward at this point. PEI will start trying to roll away closer to the center line to separate those two stones.
Oh, wide.
So I don't think that'll happen this shot.
How far can that yellow go? It's
That'll
just
still
hanging
be,
around.
that'll
A
still
biter.
be biting, yeah. So now you'll see either Northern Ontario freeze to the shot rock or hit and stay.
Worth another look here, Neil.
Yeah, I think he just threw it a little bit wide, and with that sort of weight, it just never was going to catch any curl.
Back to Dan Mick.
Firm, eh? Good. Yeah, that was a lot of weight.
How has Dan reacted here after those 2 stones in the second end that were troublesome?
Well, he came back throwing that one pretty positive and very hard, a little bit firmer than I think he was supposed to throw it. Just to probably to make sure, just to compensate and make sure his release and line of delivery was intact, and so he did very well. And with those 2 rocks spread out very, you know, almost 11 feet, there's a good chance that Northern Ontario can run with this for their deuce.
Team PEI trying their best to limit the damage.
Yeah, it's a good roll. They're trying to get these shots into the proximity where they can get a double or a roll onto that biter as the end proceeds. And the rock is deep in the house, so it doesn't take much to be off center and roll out. But even if that were to happen, Northern Ontario still has a chance for a blank. And it's not bad if they come back and score a deuce in the fourth end, which is a standard strategy.
Yep. Great shot.
So with the biter, Northern Ontario lying 2.
Yep, and they're spread out now. There's not going to be enough rocks left in play for PEI to get everything set up to make a long roll or a double, because they're very deep in the house. So I think if they can sit there and continue to trade shots, Northern Ontario will be very happy.
I think you're pretty much normal there. All the way, guys. All the way. All the way.
And trade they do.
That might work out well for PEI because it's going to be very difficult for Northern Ontario to throw it that deep again. There's a little bit of risk to that with regards to running out of the rings. So they're going to go a little bit wider out and keep the separation from those two stones as far as possible from each other.
Should be there on its own. 7, 8.
Much lighter touch this time from the third, Alyssa Bégin.
Well, this was near the spot in the first end where a couple of rocks were thrown through because of its keenness. And I think it just
This
happened
one
again.
might be a little strong again. And yes. She's known as the powerhouse on the team. That one was just a tad too much.
Yeah, just a foot too heavy. She took her sweepers out of play, which you don't want your sweepers to sweep too much, but you do want them to sweep a little bit. That means you're in the range of having good draw weight. So, but still, Northern Ontario still has a chance for a blank, so it's not a hardship here. And I'm sure if they were to get a blank, that you'll see them become more aggressive in the fourth end because you're approaching the halfway point of the game. And at that point, it'd be nice to have the lead.
Now, we were in a similar situation back in the first end. They elected to hit the takeout and score one. Any possible scenario where they do that again to even things up?
No, he'll try and if he has a hit for a PI shot rock, he'll be trying to blank again. But you certainly don't want to miss it and give up a steal that way. So we'll see what happens.
Yep. Clean.
You're all right, you're all right. He just thought it was going to move.
Clean takeout on the biter.
Or we can just go for the blank, eh?
Team PEI, line one.
Now they're just discussing if they should hit and stay or if they should try a freeze.
Told him I had to take a little break there before I threw my rock. I had to shoot that rock 3 feet.
Over here, they're pretty good.
They didn't find
Just
me.
go control.
Say not.
Now, with the way that the rocks have been moving so far on the ice, a freeze that deep, might that be a risky shot?
There is, because if you don't make it reasonably well, it would give PI a chance to hit and stay
Or roll in.
and force you to take one because you'd be looking at two.
Just gonna throw
So this is
control.
not a bad strategy at all because you get your blank. If you get two in the fourth end,
It's slick, eh?
you're up
So you
3-2 halfway point of the game.
Throw it
That's a
little bit
reasonable
down
outcome
what you're
from
thinking.
where you
Lead is
started. And
more
even
leads
if
are
it's
coming at
2-2
me
after
about
4,
regular.
all you've done is given away the hammer that you had in the first end, and you have 4 ends to make it up.
Much tighter than last night when it was 7-0 early on.
Yeah, they're going to be working hard.
Different game.
Yep. Hard, Trace. Oh. Yep.
So no freeze, nose hits, and now
It's quite the line there, boy.
back to Northern Ontario, line one.
Right. Yep, so they'll try and hit this close to the
tricky ice
nose
today.
and force Charlie to
It's
hit and roll out like he
very
did in the first end. And
release
that's very
sensitive
close to
today.
the spot where he nosed it.
Even on my last one, I thought I was pretty good. Like
They're
just
inside maybe
maybe I
another-
was a
another
tad fat
foot.
on it. And
But
there
there
it
seems to,
just
they're
wouldn't come
talking
up.
about there seems to be a line where it runs
It
a
looked
little bit
like- and then
straighter,
yours, well, you're
or
a
it will
little
catch
bit.
the curl. So there's a little bit of doubt still there.
Yeah, and theirs were going sideways. Then Alyssa's, her, what did she throw down there? Or a hit? Was there a hit?
Last stone for Watts here in the third end.
Same song, different verse, eh? First end.
Try to give you guys a break every once in a while, eh?
And by the way, they're lining this up. Looks like the blank is the option.
He's going to throw a normal hit weight and try and hit it on the broom side and roll out because that's the shortest way to get out of the rings.
It's earlier. We'll forget about blaming this one on you by the time we get to the end. Oh yeah. Well, I fully expect, right?
Oh,
Squeak one out.
pops into the middle, and instead it's a steal.
Keep it up.
That
A
was
steal of one. Wow.
That wasn't what he wanted to do. It looked like he didn't quite finish his release there, and he threw a little bit more close to peel weight, and it just ran straight on him.
You could see the look on his face change halfway through. He realized it's a steal of one for Team PEI, and in their first game of the 2018 Mixed National Championships, they have a 3-1 lead after 3 ends.
I don't know like a strategy thing either, but I have nothing else to do.
Most Canadian thing
Gotta
I've
fill
ever
time
seen.
somewhere.
Well, maybe if he was also eating a poutine.
And drinking maple syrup.
What would Bobby do?
And he's also a curler.
Guys, you know I've never actually been curling before.
And you call yourself a Canadian?
I'm sorry.
There's more than 1,000 curling facilities in Canada. Be a good Canadian and find one near you today.
So a surprising last stone from Charlie Robert. Misses the mark, and instead it's a steal of one for Team PEI. How does that change the dynamic now?
Actually, it changes it a great deal, because with the games only being 8 ends in length, there's only 5 ends left to play. So I think you're going to have to see Northern Ontario play corner guards right off the bat, no matter where PI puts their first stone. So even if she's in the top of the 4-foot, I think you'll see the corner guard go up and a lot more aggressiveness be in play.
Well, now they have to make their move here at some point, try and get back in this. But while you mentioned that, the 2018 Mixed Curling Championship, it's the 55th edition of this, so quite the history. Goes back to 1964. First one was in Toronto, Ontario. So in this one, there's 14 teams from across Canada, 10 provinces, 3 territories, and of course Northern Ontario, which seeing right now 2 pools of 7, and the top 4 of each pool move on to the championship pool. So every team plays 6 games, and then the top 4 in each move on. So second game for Northern Ontario, certainly no cause to be alarmed, but perhaps some doubt instilled.
Well, you don't want to lose too many games early. You know, you want to make sure that you win as many games early, get the momentum going, get the earliest playoff spot that you can in that championship round, so that you guarantee that you're playing in that side of the competition.
Guys, I thought I threw it decent enough.
So Northern Ontario threw up the corner guard, which is a very good call. Now they have two guards to play with. So we should see quite a number of stones in play this end.
And that's where things get interesting.
There's going to be some opportunities here probably for both teams.
Keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going. Good sweep, guys. Good sweep. Stay out.
So now you'll see Northern Ontario either come around the red ones or come around their corner guard. Their lead just through the corner guard, so they know the ice, and she should know the weight for that area. So that's the shot they've chosen.
Light when you let him go. Oh, yeah? Because we jumped on him right away. That's all right.
Second rock for Tracy Auld. Good friends with the third, Alyssa. Curled together for about 16 years out of Thunder Bay, so a lot of familiarity there.
That's a long time to curl with one person.
Yep, go.
So instead, they come right down the middle into the house.
H just got a little fat. Yeah. Okay.
Left that one wide open, but still going to be plenty of opportunities for both teams here. PI will try and hit and roll a little bit.
Close. Yep. 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 Hard. Yep. Hard. Yep. Roll it. Yep. Jackie.
So Auld left the stone open, and Broderson does a nice job taking it out and then puts it nicely right behind his 2 guards.
That's a great shot, and the timing for it couldn't have been more perfect. He's behind his own 2 red rocks.
We can do this.
He's still fighting the T line or splitting the T line, so he's still in a very good position that way. So it's going to add to the degree of difficulty of what Northern Ontario has to do here. So they're choosing to hit this guard and try and roll into the rings. Hit the tight guard close to the center line.
Right. And then move over into the top 12 or top 8.
Top 12 or maybe in behind the corner guard even, and that would open up the shot rock as well. So this is a big rebuttal shot.
Yeah, and
that
this
has
is
to be played.
Dan Mick again.
Yeah. I mean, if he were to overcurl, he might make the Rays takeout and clean that one out as well.
Yep. Hard. Real hard. 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 Whoa. The cheap way.
Wow. Maybe not how they drew it up, but clears out the house.
It's a good miss, as they say. I don't know if he was
Just
a little
touched
inside.
that top guard.
He might have been a little inside or caught the curl, but very beneficial for that sort of a break.
Want to hit the guard? I don't mind hitting the guard and rolling.
You can share a laugh after that.
I don't think there's any of us. He still got his 2 corners, regardless of what we do. We're not, nothing else? All we're doing is giving them open up to get them to come in the house, right? So I can't talk. I'm on TV. Oh, internet.
Team PEI is normally a very chatty group, but when you throw microphones on them,
yeah,
they settle things down.
It shows they're still relaxed.
Yeah.
And enjoying themselves, and you always play better if you're having some fun.
Yeah, that's true.
Line's real good. Lots of room still. Lots of room still.
Back.
That's Dennis Watts, who's usually the team jokester.
Roll, so.
Okay, no, I just didn't know if it was close to...
Yeah, we could have rolled in.
This rock has a lot of weight, and it goes all the way out the back.
That sled really good. Might be that time of the game where the speed is
do
picked
you
up right
like?
to its fastest.
I'm not in love with this.
Now, what Team PEI noticed is that compared to their home rink in Charlottetown, this was about 2.5 seconds
Let's throw
difference
like
faster
T, not
here.
4.
So for them, it's a bit of an adjustment.
They're closer to the ocean. that can slow some stones down pretty quickly. This is a very good call, trying to remove that rock off the center line and maybe split it behind both corner guards.
7, 8.
Yep.
Second rock for
Yep.
Mick.
Hard line. Hard line. Hard. Real hard. Okay, well, just whoa, easy. Whoa. That's not bad. His rocks are moving like crazy.
Nothing in the house,
Like that shouldn't even be.
but that rock on the center line
He's
partly
really torquing them, or just softening
guarded
them?
anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if his rocks, they seem to be curling a lot, so I don't know if it's always is released. If they talked a little bit about that, but all of his stones are pretty much curling. Even with the big weight in the third end, it got some curls. So maybe there's a couple stones out there that are curling a little bit more than the others, and that's throwing everybody off a little bit.
Yep. Whoa. Roll it. Nope.
Whoa.
Perfect.
That's a good shot by Jacqueline, because that is something that Northern Ontario probably can't leave there. It's just in too much of a dangerous position.
Board.
Okay.
Shot, Jackie.
Thanks. Was that 4?
Nothing in the house. You surprised?
That was board.
Well, there's been a couple of misses,
Yeah.
which has led to that as well. So they're showing some patience here, but the Northern Ontario is controlling that front area of the house, and so they do have some advantages.
No, there's nothing. I'd rather just.
Bégin takes out the redstone.
So there's so many rocks out front now. Dennis is electing to come around the center line guards, just because he can't clean up all the stones out there, so you might as well beat Northern Ontario in.
Wait.
Yours slid really good, Aaron. What? Yours was sliding really good.
Yep.
Hard for line.
Yep.
Hard, guys. You got it. Hard.
Up. Yep.
Hard.
Second rock for Jackie Reed. Where will it go? Past the guards.
Sweet, guys. Sit. Very sweet. Throw, Jackie.
How much will it
Sorry,
sit?
had to get it by.
I know.
That's a good shot, nicely buried.
Throw, Jackie.
It's created a lot of separation between that tight guard. So Northern Ontario has to deal with that tight guard somehow.
What is?
So they still have a chance to split in late second and third shots and maybe create something out of this end still. And PI should be happy too because they've got one in the 4 foot that's buried.
It's all right. I was distracting you. Yep. We got to move that. So it's got to have the weight. Take the chip off. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go hard. Okay. It's not bad.
A biter just in on the top 12.
Yeah,
Still Team PEI with the shot rock.
another 2 feet of weight, and she would have pushed that other rock into the rings to lay second and third shots. But still, she did move that center line guard, which was the first task that they wanted to do.
That's there all day.
Yeah.
So now PI's really forced to play the hit on the second shot, even though it's a little bit covered because the two yellow guards are lined up to go onto the shot rock. So even if they threw a guard, they'd still be in trouble. And so they've recognized that. So they'll try and hit and roll behind the red guards with probably something about board weight, just a light takeout weight so they can control. And they can hit the rock a little bit thinner without it rolling out of play.
Board? Just board, yep.
2 stones for Watts.
Close. Whoa. Whoa.
Calls off the sweepers. And rolls right through.
No contact there, so now
Sorry.
Northern Ontario now has the option of hitting and rolling a couple different ways and potentially setting up a 3-point
And then we
score
always
for
have
them in the
that,
fourth
right?
end.
And he wanted that rock that's right there in the top 12 and
Throw what?
just missed it.
Yeah, if he could have hit half of that rock and rolled
Board?
over into the 8 foot somewhere and put the force back on the board, or at least hold Northern Ontario to a maximum chance of 2 points, then it would have been better for him. But now there's a pretty good chance here that Charlie should make the hit and roll. They've thrown this shot a number of times. The 2 times they've come in this direction, so he should have a really good idea of the weight and line.
So what is Charlie Robert looking at here?
Well, if he can hit and roll behind the guards, then he's going to have shot rock buried and second shot 3/4 open.
Yeah.
And he's going to really put some heat on PI if he is able to do that. And then conversely, PI, they can hit that open one and once again and get rid of it. At least they'll hold Northern Ontario to a tying deuce.
Hard, Dan!
Hard, Dan!
Hard!
Hard, Dan! Hard!
Dan Mick sweeping away.
Hard, Dan!
Hard, Dan! Hard!
Past the guards. Not a lot of roll. It's still out there.
They were in the right idea, just had to hit it an inch or so thinner and tried to roll behind what was the second shot at that time.
And they had the second Dan Mick working hard there.
He was trying to keep it straight as much as he could. And now PI will try and roll to the right-hand side of the sheet behind the 2 yellow guards. And even behind the red corner guard would probably be good enough to force Northern Ontario to have to draw for 1.
Tough shot.
Well, in this spot, Dan's been the only one that's been able to get it to go across the face. And that might have been his stones.
Whoa!
Guard! Yep!
Whoa!
Whoa!
How much curl can it get?
Whoa! 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 Allison, if you
Allison!
Clear the guards. Now how much roll?
Okay.
Right, Danny.
Not
Not
quite.
enough. Not enough to be back to the same shot that Charlie had on his first one.
Sorry,
so
guys. I'm just not throwing right.
I'm anticipating he makes the shot for the 3-3 tie.
Unless you want to give me a tad more, and I'll bring it down a bit.
It's a tricky spot down there. We've seen all sorts of different combinations of makes and misses.
So a chance for a deuce. And we saw Robert miss in the third end.
He won't be throwing this one as hard because he's not trying to blank it. And he just threw it down there, so he should have a good rhythm going.
Got to curl in past the guards. And instead, just one.
They're still struggling with that spot, but at least he scored, so he's still in the game.
The biter in the top 12, the only one that counts in the fourth end. Northern Ontario gets one, but left one on the board too. 3-2, PEI up after 4.
I grow up, I want to be a superhero. I want to be a firefighter. I want to graduate university. I don't know what I want to be. I want to be an archaeologist. I want to be a scientist. Pilot. Coach. Carpenter. I'm going to be a curling champion.
Kids dream big. Your support will help them realize their dreams on and off the ice.
Welcome back to Swan River, Manitoba. The 2018 Mixed Curling Canadian Championships arrived at the fourth end, so a short break. So, Neil, a chance to get us caught up here on the other draws. Let's start with Newfoundland and Quebec. Looks like Quebec, a win yesterday. They have a slight advantage.
They played very strong yesterday. They beat a good Manitoba team, and so I think they're off to a really good start, and I think they're going to be tough here this week.
So on sheet A, it's 3-1 for Quebec after 4. We've got a battle between the Yukon and on Team Ontario on sheet B, and so far Ontario held off the board 2-0 after they're in the fourth end right now. Surprised at that?
Maybe a little. We haven't been able to watch that game, but once again, it's one of those odd games where it's the second draw and it's the first game for both teams. So maybe they're working through the process of getting more and more comfortable with the playing conditions and getting over any nerves that they may have. But 2-0 still a long ways to go.
And as the tournament goes on, we'll get a look at some of the other teams, some of the other skips. We know that Jamie Cooey is here from the Northwest Territories. His Yellowknife Rink up 3-2 on Saskatchewan, scoring one in the fourth end. A close game there as well.
Yeah, Jamie stole one in the fourth end to get the lead, and he's been a many mixed time competitor and Brier competitor out of Yellowknife, so he's got a load of experience, and that's a curling family.
It is, you
from,
bet.
From the territories.
You bet. And then on sheet D, well, the other 3 have been close. This one is not.
Manitoba's rebounding after their loss to Quebec yesterday, so they must be playing very well.
Put up 3 in 3 separate ends, a 9-1 lead over Ed McDonald's Nunavut squad. We'll get a chance to look at Nunavut shortly, and they're a team that's obviously happy to be here, but they've been improving. A couple of years back, they didn't win a game, yes, and then last year in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, Ed McDonald skipped his team to 2 wins, so some progress there, but obviously not the way they wanted things to start in their first game here.
Yeah, again, it could be nerves and what the ice is doing, and Manitoba played yesterday, and they're probably a little bit more comfortable with the playing conditions than Nunavut is at the moment.
And our sheet E, which is the game that we're following closely, Team PEI has a 3-2 lead, and have to say mostly that's due to the fact that Northern Ontario hasn't been able to capitalize when their chances have presented themselves.
Yeah, they've left a couple of points out there so far, so we'll see what happens in the back half of the game, because there's still a long ways to go, even though it's a bit of a sprint when it's only an 8-end game. But I think we'll see more rocks in play. Northern Ontario showed that when they were down 2-1, that they were willing to throw up the corner guards. Now that they're down 3-2 without last rock hammer, without last rock advantage, I think you'll see a lot more center guards being put up early to generate some rocks in play.
In terms of Team PEI, perhaps with them a 3-2 lead, certainly they have to be happy with that, but is there a chance to say maybe we could have taken advantage of some of these mistakes and put up some more?
A little bit. They could have had some.
They did have that one steal.
They did, and that was an error that shouldn't have really happened, but it did. So you take that point and you run with it. They could have made a hit and roll in the fourth end to make life a lot more difficult on Northern Ontario and perhaps put a steal up on the board. But I think without having last rock advantage in the first end and being up 3-2 after 4, they got to be pretty pleased with themselves given it's their first game.
Looks like we're ready to go after the fourth end break. Still a large crowd watching up in the gallery here in Swan River, a great curling community, as I'm finding out. It's my first time here in beautiful Swan River, just on the border between Saskatchewan and Manitoba, about 35 kilometers away from the border between the two provinces. Is this your first time here?
It is.
Okay.
It is. I arrived on Thursday, and Mother Nature was kind enough to cooperate on
Make
the
it
drive
a clear
from Regina.
drive. Yeah. Okay.
Some of the players came up on a bus from Winnipeg.
That was the best time they've had yet, apparently.
It sounded like they had some fun on that bus.
Very well organized is what I've heard. Everything was ready when they arrived. They had some snacks, they had some beverages. Halfway up, they stopped for pizza. It was all ready to go.
Yeah, it was perfectly arranged. The host committee here has done such a great job. The players are so pleased with everything that has happened to date. Their accommodations are great. So it's going to be a very successful championship.
And this is just day number 2. The pool draws will conclude on Wednesday, and then we'll move into the championship and seeding draws, and that will finish up on Friday. Semifinals and finals on that Saturday, November 18th. So it should be a lot of fun heading up towards then.
There will be lots of games to go, lots of hopefully great play as the teams get more comfortable with the playing conditions.
So back to PEI with the Hammer leading by 1. A chance here for them to make that lead a little bit more comfortable.
It's going to be an interesting end. Northern Ontario put up the guard. With PI going deep. That's actually a very good shot sometimes. So
Backline's good.
It's interesting that they're chasing it because a lot of teams might just try and draw in front of it around the guard or even throw up another guard. So Northern Ontario is showing some pretty good patience here, which might be a good thing.
Well then, whoa!
Where is it? Yep.
Here it comes, yes!
Hard! Hard! Hard, Dan, reach to it, Dan. Reach to it. Shot, Trey. That thing made
Very nice shot by Tracy.
Nestled nicely behind that guard as well.
Completely buried. It's forcing PI to play down in there and into the area where Northern Ontario wants to play. So the rings are getting a little bit closer together already in the scoring area.
Still got our center.
Ready to go for weight.
Simple draw from Allison Griffin.
She had good weight. She didn't quite get anything around the guard, which they were hoping to do, which allows Northern Ontario to throw hack weight again, just like Tracy did, and hoping that Dan would make the same role and make Northern Ontario start dealing with that center line guard.
Yep. Yep. Whoa. Whoa. Right off. Whoa. Right there is good. That's not bad. Come on. Good.
Now Dan didn't seem to like the initial look of that shot, but the result was okay.
It was okay. I think he was worried it was going to run straight on him, and so they were thinking of taking out the PI stone across the face of that back Northern Ontario stone. And it must have just caught the curl when they started to go on it, and then they came off it and it just didn't have enough time and distance to roll behind the guard.
Right to the corner. Fair. Okay, top 8. I don't know if I'm just sliding tight or I'm messing with it.
Seems as though, just based on the conversation, that there's still a bit of doubt about how much these rocks are curling.
Yeah, and a little bit release sensitivity in play from player to player, because most players throw a little bit different, and they have to have the broom adjusted by the skip.
That's good. All right, Dan.
So you can tell by the look on Dan's face that he's not getting the result he wants.
Clearly.
We'd like to play against him in a poker match.
You could be right.
You know exactly what's going on. See how Eric Broderson does here, his second stone.
This is interesting because they can play the hit and roll or the double, because PI may have a biter over in the 9 o'clock position.
Tried for the double and just missed.
Yeah, you can't miss it by much closer than that. And this allows Northern Ontario to try the hit and roll again behind their center line guard.
Board, eh? Board?
Would have been a tough shot trying to get around that guard, but it just missed on the angle.
Yeah, they just a little bit more sweeping. Still a good shot. I mean, there's a half the end to go here, almost. Or there is actually half an end.
4 stones each. Melissa Bégin now.
Close. Yep. Close.
This is our 4th Canadian mix. Been in 2011, 2012, and 2014. Got the roll, but leaves that stone a little bit exposed.
Yeah, it's wide open, so PI still has the chance to make a roll and or the double to potentially lay 2. Because I think that red one from this angle might be biting.
At that
9 o'clock position.
Yeah. You didn't see a bit of white in there between it? Thought I saw.
Well,
a little
there is,
bit.
but you gotta put the concave of that striking band. You can see a little bit of white. When you look over it, I'm expecting it might be a little bit of blue there.
All right. That's close. I don't know. That's close.
We may never find out, depending on what happens.
Unless it comes into play, obviously. So it is Northern Ontario lying 1, PEI with the hammer.
I think this is one of those spots in the ice where you have to throw it really purely with the right weight for it to catch the curl, to get it to go across that center line.
Yep. 4. Whoa. Yep. 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 Yep.
The sweepers have to sweep it too early and may not catch the curl.
It's gotta go.
And if they're too late, it might catch the curl too early.
How much is this gonna curl? Ooh, just taps it.
Okay.
Anything on?
Okay, we try this one.
Are they on the ring?
Wait, there's a hole here.
Just 12, eh? I'd come up there. We don't?
So what's Dennis Watts asking for here?
Well, they're doing a bit of a discussion here. I think he initially
No,
thought that Jacqueline could go through the hole with the intern with hack weight and get to that shot rock at the back.
Like we can throw a board weight and
The trouble with that is you're playing with the opposition stones, and if you hit a quarter of one of those, you're going to promote them into the rings to lay 2 and leave a center line guard perhaps
And then
So
if I hit the guard, it's going to move it. If I throw a board, I'm just going to
I think their options are either to come around with a draw around
In order to
one of the
get through
guards
there.
or
Yeah, well,
to try
normally you're
and peel
rolling
one
out,
of
right?
those
You're not going to get the
guards
curl
out of there. Because I think the way they're set up, a
we'll throw
double
board
peel
up.
and roll
A
away
little bit more than board.
may not be there.
Okay.
Well,
Board runs pretty true, right? Like,
it looks a lot smaller from down there.
it's not quite a rock and a quarter. It's a nice board, Jackie.
Looks like perhaps a bit of, can we say, disagreement here? Looks like Jackie wanted to throw something else.
Well, to her, that hole
I'm going to try to come through the hole.
looks small, and it is.
It
Right
is.
down
I
the
mean,
middle.
it looks like
Board
it
up.
just might be a couple inches bigger than a stone, so there's not much room for error. And in that spot in the ice, they've had some curl a little bit more than others. So all you can do as a player is throw it well with the right weight and then call the sweep.
Whoa! Roll it.
Takes out one of the guards,
Sorry, I had
but
to sit down.
that was a small hole to hit.
The good news is there's no hole now.
Yeah,
So,
that's for sure.
so Northern Ontario will try that out-turn come around again that they've been struggling to make. Sometimes when people try to go through a small hole, it's easy to throw it harder because you take a line out of it. And she may have overthrown that a little bit and never got the chance to get over anywhere near where the
And now this
possible.
presents an interesting scenario because now that redstone that Lee just threw is protecting the Northern Ontario stone that you can see just nipping on the back
We
12.
can drag it a long way.
Okay.
Yeah, so Charlie will try and come around this one and get a little bit covered
side over there, eh?
Oh, then
and either make PI chase it or maybe run the red guard back into it and
Make
try
it
and
good.
clean it up a little bit so he leaves himself a couple of options for his last stone.
Yep.
Whoa. Whoa. Dan, if anything,
So he's
just
using
Dan.
a pretty
Whoa.
good weight.
Okay, whoa.
Whoa. Got to get a half a rock behind if we can.
At the end? Okay, Dan. Go down. Hard, hard, hard.
Nice weight indeed.
Nice.
Yeah, very good shot by Charlie. He's put it right behind
Nice weight.
the red guard, but not directly behind it. So if
It's a lot better from
PI
here than it did out there.
hits it on the nose, they might be able to get a little bit of a flop behind the other one and stay covered. But he's forcing the degree of difficulty to go a little bit higher.
Yeah, certainly not a lot of room for error now for Team PEI with the hammer.
Exactly. So good job one. He put it where he wanted to. So PI Skip's going to try and just over curl the center of the stone fractionally so it drives it back onto the shot rock and yet leaves his own stone under cover behind the two guards.
Two rocks left for Dennis Watts.
Close.
Yep.
Close. Whoa.
Whoa.
Close. Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep.
Hard.
Yep. Whoa,
Hard.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Ah. I ericked it. I ericked
Takes the
it.
one out in the back, but
Great sweep, girls.
Wood just shot rock.
I sure did.
Did you call
That's a
him
good
off?
question.
That's hard to say.
Did you call him off? Oh. I was like,
It was a good shot. If they'd swept it a little bit earlier, it just his rock caught the curl and over curled it just a hair too much to pop that one out in the open. And he was a little bit unlucky to drive it onto the second shot too.
Just board weight.
So Northern Ontario, if they hit and
Half a
stay,
rock.
they'll have done their
Inside's
job
pretty good.
at the minimum and force PI to take one. And if they can make a roll to the other side of the center line, then they're going to force PI even into a more difficult shot to score their one.
Final stone of the fifth end for Robert.
Yes! Yes!
Tracy Ells sweeping hard.
Cheese. Cheese.
And Robert not happy with that.
That one caught the curl. You know, that's that side of the sheet where he's hit on the nose or pro side the previous two times we come up this end. So he is leaving Prince Edward Island a hack weight shot to get to that shot rock and score two.
How much can you see?
And maybe put a measuring stick on that little biter over there.
Third one, yeah. So Northern Ontario's had rocks in the house for almost the entire end, but now when it comes down to it, PEI has got a chance for potentially 3.
It is. It doesn't take much to change an end around sometimes.
Yeah.
Hack or just nice hack weight? Just hack.
Now that yellow that we're seeing on the right side of your screen, it is protected slightly
haven't been taken off
by a
yet, too.
guard that's just outside of the top of the house.
Yeah, it's not a wide open hit, and that's why they're going to throw hack weight, just a gentle hit and roll here. And it should come up a little bit, so it's not like they have to be really close to that yellow guard in order to make this shot.
Final stone. Chance for 2, maybe 3 for Team PEI.
Yep.
It's got to get past that guard. No, it doesn't. PEI won't like that. It's a steal of 1, maybe more.
It is a steal of 2. Yeah, they were able to, unfortunately, promote that Northern Ontario stone into the full 12-foot out count.
So he wanted to get around that guard. Instead, it ends up in the house. A steal of 2 for Northern Ontario. Big momentum shift there.
Well, it went back and forth on both skips' last rocks. Maybe it's that skips union thing where they're not making each other look poorly.
Hard to know what happened there.
Well, it's been such a lot of outturns played going towards the scoreboard end. There haven't been that many in-turns played with draw weight or the quiet. They've had a few takeouts in the first end that were played out there. So, I mean, he wasn't far off. But that quarter of a rock, that's only 2 or 3 inches.
Made the difference.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him.
So a big change of momentum in the fifth end. Northern Ontario steals 2. They have a 4-3 lead. Off to the 6th.
Struggling with that out turn a little bit, and I thought it finally threw one flush. And
Yeah, I figured she was running a bit straight on that side. And
well, especially with the sweeping. We had to play it pretty cute because we're looking for the roll.
yeah.
It's got to be here, eh? Like you're giving him a corner guard. We got to curl. We got to sweep it. Come on, sweep it right to the house. Yeah, but we can sweep it to here is even better than corner guard.
Interesting conversation there between the two skips.
It was. It's nice to see that camaraderie and going back and forth and trying to figure out each other's, you know, what happened, because they both had misses, and you never want to see the other person miss. You want to make your shots.
Now if you have
So now
to.
this is kind of the
Keep going.
reverse of the fourth end, where PEI is going to try and
Keep
score
going.
2 points at a minimum and regain some control heading into the 7th end.
Control.
Still lots of time left, but it looks like we'll be headed right down to the wire in a tight 8th end. It kind of feels that way.
It does look that way presently.
You never know.
Whoa! Whoa! Dan. Hard, Dan. Hard, Dan. Reach to it.
There you go, PEI keeping it simple. Just got to score here.
They want to either get a deuce or a blank.
Halfway, just over.
The first final score of the draw is concluded with Manitoba beating none of it.
10-2.
Maybe it's that sheet, because that's where Northern Ontario beat BC yesterday.
You're right. Now, normally, all teams have to play at least 7 ends, but the exception to that rule is 6 if one team has a 7-point lead or more. This is the case.
That's correct.
That's deep.
Manitoba up 10-1. None of it picks up 1 in the 6th, but deciding to leave it there.
It's time for a beer and a regroup for their next game.
That's right. Draw 3 gets underway tonight, 7 Central Time. That's 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Hope you can join us on CBC Sports. And if you're just tuning in, this is the 2018 Mixed Curling Canadian Championship from Swan River, Manitoba. My name is Matt Cullen, and Neil Houston is with me. Been an entertaining draw so far here on Sheet E. Northern Ontario and PEI going toe for toe, but adding a couple of mixes or misses, pardon me. You never know what you're going to get.
Yep.
No, the long ways to go
line's
here.
Good. Wait only.
Both teams are trying to get behind these guards.
Line's real good. Just fight 4.
And I think we finally have our mostly first successful one. It's going to be a little deep.
Good throw.
But they've shrunk the scoring area, so once again, we're going to see some rocks in play.
Broderson with the shot there, the second for Team PEI. He's been steady throughout the game so far.
Yes, he has.
Easy. Rim. Whoa! Off, guys, off. Great off.
Whoa!
Yep. Whoa.
Tracy only.
Tracy, hard, Trace. Hard. Whoa.
No bounce.
Oops, sorry. Good.
Gets the freeze.
Good shot by Dan. That'll probably be followed by another freeze attempt by Prince Edward Island.
Just back 4 foot weight.
Let's take another look at that. And
bump it a bit.
Neil, Tracy and Alyssa sweeping, but Dan asked for just Tracy. Why was that?
With the brooms they use nowadays, he was trying to get Tracy to sweep so that rock would curl a little bit more onto the face of the shot that they were trying to freeze to.
Yep.
And now they're trying to throw a little bit more weight than freeze weight just to unlock both of those stones.
Taps the yellow, frees up the red.
Yeah, good shot. Takes away that backing. Now Northern Ontario will have to deal with that shot rock.
Think we gotta do that, eh?
Probably by a little bit of hit and roll across the face of the shot stone.
Kind of weight you like. Okay.
If everything were to work out properly here, Allison might be able to roll her shooter behind the guard, and maybe even the other Northern Ontario rock might move a little bit behind as well.
Tracy, hard!
Hard, Trey!
Hard, Trace!
Trey, hard!
Hard, Trace! Hard! Good.
Well placed there. And now Northern Ontario lying 2.
Very good shot. Now PI is going to be forced to draw into that pocket. And this is one of those points of the game where it's almost into you better make it scenario.
Let's wait.
We're bumping it a bit.
Wait.
Small tap.
Okay, well, to it.
Jackie Reed the third. Neil talking about that pocket. Shot rock by a hair.
It's shot rock, which isn't really the important thing at this point, because she's left the other two somewhat behind cover. The good news is she did roll open, and there's not much room for Northern Ontario to roll and be covered. So they will have a chance to get out of it, possibly.
Yep, Trace. Yep. Both of you. Both of you. Yep, hard. Okay. It's not bad.
So that will leave Prince Edward Island with a chance to hit and roll in front of a couple
You don't
yellow
like just
stones,
sitting
or
there?
even a little bit behind the guard.
Just freeze.
I can't hear you.
What did you say?
What do you want to do?
What are you asking?
Can we just freeze
Now
and get
Northern
shot?
Ontario lying 3. How does PEI get back into
freeze
this
on the
with
corner
hammer?
of it.
Freeze,
Well, if
tap.
PI can hit and roll in front of the second stone shot, that'll eliminate that at the moment from being able to be scored. To be scoring, even if they roll too far or a little bit thin, they might get a double off the third shot rock. And just, you want to eliminate, yet hold your shooter around in front of them. And then those stones will be not counting for the moment.
Right.
Yep.
Second shot for Jackie Reed. Gets the roll.
So at the moment it's a good shot, so you'll probably see Northern Ontario try and draw down in front of it behind the guard, which will create an awkward angle for Prince Edward Island if they were to make it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll throw a timeout.
Because they could be second shot, and any attempt to try and move it a little bit is just going to put it right onto the PI second shot rock.
Looks like Northern Ontario will take their time out.
It's that time of the game.
Can you give us some more time back?
Maybe about 5 seconds there at least. About 10 or 15, yeah. I don't know. Whatever it was.
I'm thinking here, right? That's the shot?
I don't know. What's he got right now?
I'm not opposed to this if that's what you're...
That's not bad either, eh?
Then
He draws around though.
yeah.
Yeah, and then we cap that off. He gets his one. We're tied up. Try to blank the next.
You don't like this at all?
I don't mind that. I mean,
There? Where he can't slash it in. He can't make the
You gotta
double.
play it so we can't cross it.
That's
and
what I
make
mean.
the double, yeah.
That's what I mean. Right? I just think this, you're giving him this.
yeah.
And then I know what you're saying, I cap it. Does he have anything on that out turn there? Nothing there. Ain't there's nothing.
Not to get shot. He can come up to the face of his red one.
Like if we go there,
I don't mind that. Yeah.
if we go here, he comes down, he's gonna,
He's still probably coming to that back yellow.
Yeah.
okay. So, say a quarter behind that one right here.
Yeah.
That cuts down his draw, right, to get in there.
Yeah.
Or you like leaving it out a little bit? Well, I like leaving it out.
It's hard. Yeah. Hard.
So I'll throw a guard and
Guard, do you like that,
Right
Dan,
here?
or do you like this? That doesn't do us anything?
that's not bad.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Okay.
Let's play that,
let's do
Char.
that.
If you're high, Charlie, then that's...
Tight's the miss.
Well, they have a plan.
I think
Surprised?
Top 8, top
No,
12
I think
the miss.
Allison's right. They had a good discussion, but I think Allison's right. They should try and bring it into the 4-foot. Even if it's just wide open, it's going to be a very difficult and awkward position for Dennis to throw his first one.
Yeah.
Because he'll be left with a difficult in-turn draw to the button to freeze to the back one, or a double
It's still pretty slick here.
that
eh?
probably won't be there.
Yeah.
So you might have to do a little tap thing, and
That's
You know, it might get a little dicey here
more than what you gave me for the berry
for
here.
PI, but Northern Ontario has to make this shot too.
Well, Team PEI certainly can't afford to give up another steal.
No, they don't want to do that.
Down by 1.
PI will be trying to make sure that he's got a clear path to the full forfeit on his last one.
Easy.
At worst, so he can at least get his 1 point and get out of dodge while he still can.
No line. You got a curl.
We're to it. We're almost to it.
Whoa, whoa, no bump, no bump. Whoa, 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 whoa. Sorry.
That is just lightning.
Yeah, it's fast.
Quick.
Yep, that's a little bit too deep. If that was a foot or 14 inches higher, it would have been in a great position. But now that allows PI to come down and just move those around.
Yeah, if I get nose on that, right?
And provide them just with enough
wait,
room
I just gotta move that.
that it gives them a little bit more room for their last shot as well.
You can see Alyssa there at the very left of your screen, hoping that was above the tee line.
Correct.
Not the case.
No.
Gotta be for it to curl. Yep.
No, PI can come down and freeze on it, and then there's very little room for Northern Ontario to freeze on top of it. If they were to tap this one, the shot rock a little bit, and bump the second shot a little bit, then you're locked on. Now he's actually playing for a potential 3 here.
Right.
On his final stone.
We were saying that the last end, though, and it didn't work out that way.
No, no, it's all theory until the execution
It's all theory,
starts.
right.
And it's very quick in this spot, so it'll be interesting to see if Dennis, even though they've probably got stopwatches and know how quick the watch is telling them, he's still got to execute it to that quickness.
Where?
There. Maybe a little up. Stay close. Whoa. Stay close, though. Whoa. Whoa. Stay close.
Whoa.
No.
No. Don't touch. Leave it, 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 leave it. Okay.
Didn't quite get the angle. Didn't quite get the right angle.
Interesting scenario now.
That's a very good lead.
Yeah, but then
that's as good as you can make it.
Shot.
You're above the tee line.
Then he's got.
Northern Ontario has no room of which they can
He can get to the inside.
move it and do anything.
Like bored, You're thinking?
Yeah.
So how does Northern Ontario here try and limit the damage to that possible 3 that you were discussing?
It's going to be difficult. They're talking
No,
about
you can't
trying to get to the inside,
inside,
but I don't think it's there. I think they're going to have to some sort of a freeze and
read back down
basically
to it.
hope that
We
Prince
can
Edward
bump, we can
Island
get shot
can't
out of it,
hit
I
the
think.
button for their 2 points.
You like that same knife?
Yeah. We could get shot if we hit almost where we can see, like not hit, bump we can see and hold my shooter right there. Like
If
we
you're
just bump
high,
it back.
Charlie, that's not terrible, eh?
Yeah, we just want to go for a guard.
So Robert has struggled a little bit with the weight so far. Let's see how he plays
I
this.
will err on being short.
Where? Cool. Close, yep. As long as you're on it, guys, gotta be on it. Yep. Whoa. A little bit.
Hard!
Gotta keep the angle. All right.
It's one crowded house.
Now we had to stay on
It's
this
about
side
as good
of
a
it.
shot as he could have played at that particular moment. And once again, he's shrunk the scoring area down by another foot. So Dennis has got to draw within about an inch of the
back line
button
there,
for his 2
last one,
points.
right?
He can probably
Last
go
one,
on
figure
to
about
his
back
own
line.
shot rock a little bit without causing any damage because of where it's sitting.
PEI with the hammer, a chance for a deuce and to get the lead back.
T-line. Line's good, just for 8.
Gotta go.
T.
Go then. I think you still got it, guys. I think you still got it,
Go,
guys.
go, go. Line's getting
Keep
tight.
going. Keep going. Line's great.
Where?
Keep it going. That's all you guys. That's all you guys.
There.
Eric.
Calls
Eric
off
the
the
yellow.
sweepers last minute. Gets the deuce.
Thanks.
They lost the
Yeah.
line a little bit there, but he had enough
Sweepers
weight
got
that
lucky
he could just
they overcooked it a bit.
rub in off. So good shot. Now the heat's back on Northern Ontario to see what they're going to do in the 7th end.
A tricky end, worth another look. Dennis Watts' final stone. Lost the line a tad, but still good for the 2. PEI back up in front, 5-4. Off to the 7th.
The most Canadian thing I've ever seen.
Well, maybe if he was also eating a poutine.
And drinking maple syrup.
And he's also a curler.
Guys, you know I've never actually been curling before.
And you call yourself a Canadian?
I'm sorry.
There's more than 1,000 curling facilities in Canada. Be a good Canadian and find one near you today.
Five 5-4 PEI leads, 7th end. And Neil, this is an interesting situation for Northern Ontario. Why is that?
Well, they're 1 down playing 7. And in most cases, it's not a desirable position to be 1 up going home without last rock. Because in that situation, you can actually make all 8 stones and lose because the other team makes a really good shot.
Yeah.
So with PI going into the house with the first rock, Northern Ontario, I mean, Charlie stood up there right away. He's hitting this thing. So that tells me that he's going to play for the blank. And he wants to be 1 down going home with last rock and get his 2 points that way to win the game. So
see how that plays out.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah. We'll,
now for PEI, they have, I'm sure, realized that. How do they counter that?
Well, if they're comfortable being 1 up going home without last rock, and that may be why they threw the Leeds rock into the house in the first place, tells me that, yeah, they might be okay with that. The way the game's going, the way they're playing, the way they feel. There's, you know, the stats say that if you're 1 down going home with last rock, you're going to win quite a number of your games as compared to trying to steal. So there's different things you can do.
Slides right past.
Stories in a sack.
I like to joke around. We knew that.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that they have a sense of humor after a miss. That's a good way to rebound.
I knew we would enjoy Team Prince Edward Island. They had a chat with Dennis on the phone earlier this week and had a few laughs. So
you got it.
That's good. They're
you got it. Gotta go.
Typical Islanders, right? They're so friendly, and their sense of humor is brilliant.
Certainly, certainly.
Yep. It's good, Trey.
Like normal or board?
Closer to 10 by the end. What would you like? It's tough.
Board.
It's tough.
Second Northern Ontario stowed into the house here. Slight nudge.
Yeah, a little trying to create some distance between the two of them. The advantage is Northern Ontario right now. If they were to get even a double played against them, that puts the blank back on the board, which is what they were thinking when the Leeds first rock came into the ring. So there's no nothing lost.
Oh, and Broderson missed everything.
Now that changes it. because now Northern Ontario will go hard for their 3 points to be 2 up going home.
I didn't kick him. I think I broke my wrist. Yeah, I broke my wrist.
Wrist went with it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Eric Broderson you're hearing there saying to his teammates what happened.
He didn't throw it the way he wanted to.
I think so.
They're bumping wide.
So 2 in the house for Northern Ontario.
Is it bumping? Hard.
And they have the hammer.
Hard to it. Hard, guys. Hard. Anything on the 8. Okay.
Bigger target.
Couple of other scores quickly as we look across the sheets. Sheet A, Quebec, a 4-1 lead on Team Newfoundland and Labrador. That looks like it's in the 7th end. Quebec looking to go 2-0. Robert Desjardins and company. Sheet B, a tight game. Northwest Territories against Team Ontario. Or pardon me, the Yukon versus Team Ontario, and it's Robert Smallwood's Yukon rink. 3-2. That one also in the 7th. And then sheet C, Team Saskatchewan versus Team Northwest Territories, and Jamie Cooey's rink up 7-3 thanks to a big 4 in the 6th end. That has really put a bit of distance between the 2 rinks there. And of course, sheet D, if you missed it, Manitoba an easy win, 10-2 over Team Nunavut. Some good curling.
Yep, very much so.
Top 8.
Oh, that's deep. Whoa. Whoa. Not at all.
So we came into this, and Neil, thinking that Northern Ontario would go for the blank. Couple of misses from Team PEI. That's changed now. What's the best scenario here?
Well, PEI can still be pretty pleased with an outcome if they only hold Northern Ontario to a 2-point score here and a 1-point lead going home.
Down 1 heading into the last end.
Yep, and so this is almost a nose-hit double for Jacqueline, and so if she can make this shot, it'll go a long ways towards that end.
Whoa, Allison! Oh, my fault. Great throw, Jackie.
Gets 1, gets PEI with shot rock, but not the double.
Nope, and you can tell they're still struggling a little bit with line because they didn't really call the sweepers on until that rock was about halfway down the sheet.
Control.
So it must have curled a little bit more than they anticipated. And if it kept curling more,
stuck.
Oh, she unluckily nailed it right on the nose.
Hard down.
And now they're just starting to get a little bit more separation between these 3 stones.
Good toss.
Melissa Bégin, nose hit, no problem.
Now you'll probably see PEI try and hit and roll behind that red biter of theirs to at least outcount that Northern Ontario stone that's in the 12-foot.
Jackie Reed. Former winner of this tournament in 2011. Third. That was with her husband, Robert Campbell. 2-time Canadian champion in the mixed. We know he's watching. Back in beautiful PEI.
Say wait.
He better be.
Yeah. He was asked to coach the team, as we talked about earlier. Said no. Can't do it all, I suppose.
She was close to getting a double in a roll. An inch thinner on contact.
Close.
That's perfect.
Beautiful roll.
It is, because even though PEI can raise that guard onto it, it'll only be 3rd shot.
Rolling off this one?
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
They might be
How
best
much
to
can you
roll
say?
off the 3rd shot stone and try and get behind the Northern Ontario rock that was just put in behind the red one biting, and have it protected there for at least second shot and limit the damage.
I like normal weight. We've done that a couple times out here. You okay with that? Green eggs in ham. Just there. And it's going to run pretty true, I think, for most of the way.
Okay, let's go.
Still like the normal out here. Throwing a couple.
And this has been a tricky spot throughout the game. We've seen some rocks run pretty straight and some catch a curl. So I think it's going to come down to how hard he throws it and how good his release is.
Especially going away, I think that, like we are now, I think most of the mistakes have been made going this direction.
It's been a tricky half of the sheet for takeouts.
Yep.
Somebody, or maybe somebody's due to make a really good one.
Close. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, everything you got, Eric.
Watts going after the Yellowstone on the 12. Doesn't get much of a roll.
He was close. He just had to curl up a hair more.
We're sitting 1-2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Then he blasts. Yeah, that's fine. You like this, intern?
Yeah.
A little more.
So Charlie's just going to try and throw the intern draw
yellow,
in
right?
behind the yellow second shot stone, but not too deep to allow Prince Edward Island to throw a freeze and eliminate. All those stones are currently counting.
6, 7. Close, yeah. For line.
Whoa.
Just rolls past. Hard to say
Couldn't
if it's
just
out of the
get a
house, but
touch,
it wasn't what he had planned.
No, he needed that one in the rings.
Yeah.
It's like it's biting on that last ring.
Should've pounded it to get it to go.
Where did this one get away here?
All I had to do
Look at
was
a
just
replay.
scratch it.
Just overthrown for that spot.
No.
It's so keen out there.
I think it just would have bumped
They
it a little
just
bit. It would have rolled here.
took the sweepers out of play and
Well,
didn't allow that rock to
double then,
stop where he wanted it. It may have stopped for fifth shot rock, so if PI were ever to roll out here, then it still would be an open hit for 3 on the red one at the T line. But if PI hits and stays here, then Northern Ontario is going to be forced to hit and stay for their deuce and the 1-point lead going home.
Last rock for Watts. Told us earlier that he wants to force other teams to make shots.
Yep.
And looks like he's on track to do that.
Yep.
Yep. Hard.
Yep.
Hard.
Yep.
Hard.
Yep.
Hard.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. Gotta go.
How much roll instead of rolls out the back? Chance for 3.
No. We're just sitting 1.
Or 2, perhaps. Hard to
That's
say
it?
at that back.
Is that a hit for 3?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Just control.
Okay.
Looks like they're going for 3.
Well, he's about due to make an outturn takeout down here.
Okay. That's exactly what they're thinking about.
I think control weight's a nice weight for this line. I think it'll run fairly straight, so if he throws it pure, it should be just a nice easy sweep to the nose.
This would give Northern Ontario a 2-point lead heading into the 8th and final end, but
Whoa.
No.
Clean. Yep.
calling off the sweepers.
Whoa. Off. Yep. Okay, good. 3.
Charlie should be pleased with that. He made one. He got their 3 points.
A 3 for Northern Ontario. It didn't look good at the start.
Well, they were playing for a blank from the start, and it's funny how it turned around so quickly.
But a key shot from the skip from Sault Ste. Marie. 7-5 Northern Ontario. Got a chance to close it out, but PEI has the hammer. 8th and final end coming up.
I grow up, I want to be a superhero. I want to be a firefighter. I want to graduate university. I don't know what I want to be. I want to be an archaeologist. I want to be a scientist. Pilot. Coach. Carpenter. I'm going to be a curling champion.
Kids dream big. Your support will help them realize their dreams on and off the ice.
Good game so far between Northern Ontario and Prince Edward Island. 7-5 the score. Last end, and right now Dennis Watts' PEI rink will have to be aggressive.
They will. Northern Ontario is going to try and throw the first rock in top 4 foot, and then you'll see PEI throw a corner guard. And if Tracy's rock is where they want it, you may see
4 foot
the freeze on top of it again, and then followed by PEI throwing a corner guard on the other side.
Let's go, you got her.
Try and
let's go, guys.
Keep everything spread out for PEI. Northern Ontario will want to play around the center line.
Okay, okay. Good sweep.
So I think you'll see the corner guard coming up on this called shot.
Keep it going. Keep it going. Sweep. Good sweep. Throw Allison.
What do you like? We can try it and. Okay.
What kind of weight do you want?
Same as usual, back line.
So they're going to try and tick this guard off to the dividing line, not removing it from play, or else it'll be positioned back to where it originally is.
Outside. Whoa!
There's not very much room there. She's only got about 5 feet to that dividing line.
Nose ours?
Now you're gonna put this one underneath,
Sorry,
I suppose. Which will block the draw, but I guess so.
So second goes right through the second yellow rock.
Well, she hit her own shot rock and rolled behind the corner guard, which at the moment looks kind of like it helped you in a way, but it just means it's another rock in play, and PEI wants rocks in play.
Yeah.
They need cover out there no matter what color stone it is. The key to this guard is to put it in such a position where it can't be doubled off of the other corner guard.
Staggered guards, but would be a tough shot.
It's not a bad angle. They're going to try and double them off. And have
doable?
It is, yeah. That's sort of an angle. The contact, if you do get it right, the shooting stone will spin off.
Looks like that's what Charlie Robert is pointing to. Dan Mick.
Whoa! 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 Yeah! Whoa!
One.
Get
and
get going! Get going! Get! Attaboy.
Just the way they were hoping it would play out.
PEI wants rocks in play. Dan Mick just took out 2 of them. That could change how this end shapes up.
Yeah, that's what you play for. That's the one shot that can really help you out in a situation like this, and he was able to execute it at the proper time.
Another final score to tell you about. Sheet C, Jamie Cooey's Northwest Territories rink a 7-4 victory over Bruce Cordy and Team Saskatchewan. So if my math is correct, Saskatchewan 0-2.
They are, and that's a tough start for them. That's a very strong team. Bruce was runner-up in the Canadian Mixed a couple of years ago. So he's going to have to turn it around fairly soon.
Yeah, a couple of appearances in the Brier as well.
Yep.
A lot of experience there for Team Saskatchewan.
That's good. Good.
And you know they've got a few fans that made the trip across the border.
We've seen some green yesterday.
Yeah, that's right.
Some of them weren't here during the afternoon when that football game was being played.
That's right. I was going to say, mostly if it was Saskatchewan Roughrider.
You guys play musical gloves?
Yeah, they do love their sport teams.
You bet. Swan River is another town that also loves its sport teams. I had a chance to go on a nice tour this morning with the mayor, Glenn McKenzie, mayor of 20 years, by the way.
Gee, that's a long
former
time.
high school teacher, history.
Good for him.
Took history in university, so we got along great. And the hockey team here, Swan Valley Stampeders, they're a junior A team playing in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. Got a couple of baseball fields, some soccer fields, and a very active community. Hunting, fishing, of course, a big part of it.
Yeah, sledding. I know the snowmobiles will be out when there's enough snow.
And of course, curling.
Yep. Whoa. Whoa.
Very proud of Brent Scales, who made the Brier in Saskatoon in 2004. Only time that Swan Rivers had a member in that tournament.
And they were a good team. They played very well that year.
Shot.
And you can tell how much they love curling by the amount of people that are sitting right next to us.
Yep.
It's great on a Monday afternoon to see how many people are out.
Certainly. First rock for Jackie Reed in this 8th end.
Yeah, they're still trying to get to the guard up so they can potentially get a miss and be able to use it. If nothing changes, at least they're going to have that Northern Ontario rock biting the 8-foot or top 12-foot to come around and use it as a guard on Dennis's first stone, is what I would anticipate.
They've got to get 2 to keep this going.
Reach to it.
Hard.
Toss, Sliss.
Bejan gets the takeout, and Northern Ontario not missing, playing some good defense here.
They are, yeah. They've played a very good end.
Just a little bit more. That was.
And here we go. This is where I think Dennis has called for back 8-foot and use that Yellowstone as a guard.
Key shot here for Jackie Reed, her second this end.
Ooh, we're there. Back 8.
And this is that keen
Yeah,
spot.
we're there.
So the sweeper's got to make sure they don't over-sweep it.
You want it deep though, right?
Yep. Hard's moving. Hard.
Oh, come on.
And just touches it. And that leaves the PEI rock right out in the open.
That was unfortunate. She had really good weight. And it was curling in there. Maybe just curled a little bit more at the end than they thought it was going to.
I mean, you got one rock right here. That's not bad, right?
3 feet higher there. It looked to be okay, but curled in and touched.
Unfortunately for them.
Intern board here.
In Northern Ontario, because of the yellow one.
Like if we could roll, if we were roll half
used as a guard, they might as well hit this one on the nose. And eventually PI is going to have to deal with it.
Chance for Charlie Roberts' rink to lie 2. Putting the pressure on Dennis Watts with his final 2 stones.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, even if Charlie were to roll out here, you know, Dennis still is going to have to make a quality shot.
Yep.
On his first one, just to have a chance.
Hard.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yep. Whoa.
Yep.
Yep. Hard.
Rolls in
Oh,
behind
she kept you honest.
the guard.
And he rolled just a half a rock too far,
Yeah.
so that and left enough room for Dennis to be able to get a good chunk, if not all of the rock, buried right in the forefoot and force Charlie into throwing a little bit more difficult shot than he might have had to.
Yeah, yeah. T-line.
This is draw number 2 of the 2018 Mixed Curling Canadian Championships. Draw 1 was last night. This is CBC's first telecast, though, and Neil, I have to say it's been a good one.
It's been a good game to watch. It's been interesting back and forth, close game.
2 pretty evenly matched teams.
They are, and they're both going to win their share of games this week.
That's okay. Let's make this T-line.
Another quick final to tell you about the Robert Desjardins rink from Quebec. 4-3 winners over Chris Ford's rink from St. John's, Newfoundland. So 2-0 start for Desjardins, Team Quebec.
They played well last night. No, we didn't get to see them play today. I think they're going to be very tough throughout this competition.
Line's good.
Lots of room.
Stay with it. Stay with it.
Whoa, whoa.
Stay with it. Line's good. Stay with it still.
Catches the curl.
Stay with it still.
Oh. Okay, that's fine.
Sorry, guys.
That's all right.
And this stone rolls right through.
Unfortunate, yeah. That was that keen spot that has been there for the last few ends, and
that
they've struggled with
pretty
it
much
sometimes.
do it.
Yeah, that's a wrap for this draw for Northern Ontario and PEI. A good game and 2 up going home. Northern Ontario did play it well. They didn't miss anything.
2 evenly matched teams, but it's the 3 scored in the 7th end from Team Northern Ontario gives them the victory. And Dennis Watts had 2 rocks to try and get back in it, but that one, Neil, was just overthrown.
Yeah, which is surprising because he did throw 2 to the forefoot in the 6th end in that spot. So just tried to maybe help it along a little bit too much. And unfortunately had a little bit too much weight for it to become a counter.
So Northern Ontario pours it on in the end, but another 2 in the 8th. They get the steal and they get the victory. Charlie Roberts' rink is 2-0, a 9-5 victory over Team PEI. And a great start for our coverage of the 2018 Mixed Curling Canadian Championship from Swan River. Be sure to join us later on, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. We'll feature Team Ontario against Team BC. Both of them now looking to get their first win. That should be a good one. Be sure to join us for that.